Hello and welcome to this episode of Venture Utah, growing your business online and life after divorce. We're going to be talking about a couple of things today, but before we do, I'd like to discuss a few things that are going on in the news. And to do so, I will be testing out my fancy new teleprompter, and I want to see how well it works. So here we go. Many of us may not be aware that construction on the new Utah prison has been going on for quite some time now. The location of the new prison west of the airport has created quite a challenge for construction crews. Sinking soil and owl nests have delayed crews substantially as they wait for truckload after truckload of soil to be brought in and take as long as 90 days to settle before the next step of the process can happen. However, it looks like most of that is behind us, and the first building in the prison complex has begun to be erected. So as you drive west on I-80, you may see off in the distance construction making progress. Our next story for today is about the shifting political demographics in the state of Utah. Utah has traditionally been one of the reddest states in the country, but that may be starting to change. There are a few factors that are contributing to this. Number one, Donald Trump was relatively unpopular in Utah, and many Utah Republican voters, especially younger Republican voters, got a bad taste in their mouths when Trump became the nominee. Additionally, because our state is doing awesome, a lot of people are migrating to Utah from other states, and most of these migrants are left-leaning. That may be because one of our biggest growth sectors is technology, which is an industry somewhat dominated by left-leaning politics. This is motivation for you to become more civically involved no matter what your beliefs. If you lean right, you'll want to push back and keep the state as a red state. If you lean left, you'll want to jump forward and keep pushing. As for me, I'm just hoping all this ridiculousness finally brings us a viable third-party candidate. But I'm not holding my breath. Our last story is a sad note, as Tom Guinney, the man who developed the menu and recipes at Market Street Grill, died on September 6th, a famous date as it is also my mother's birthday. Guinney was a prominent philanthropist as well as one of the foremost professionals in the restaurant industry, and his contributions to both the industry and Utah as a whole will not be forgotten. So, going on to our first guest. Our first guest today is Erna Molyneux from ZipLocal. Now, Erna's specialty is in search engine optimization, which, if you're not aware, is the technology that helps websites appear higher up in search engine rankings like Google. So, if you've ever wondered how to build your business online and you're wondering what the missing piece might be, it might be search engine optimization. So here we are with Erna. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you, Cameron?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Okay, so we finally got you on the show.
No,
it was
a
long journey of about 8 days, and we did get you on the show. So, first question, I guess. Tell me a little bit about ZipLocal.
So ZipLocal has been a very long-standing marketing company. We started off, I want to say, getting close to 50 years now,
wow,
dominating Yellow Page ads. So we have directories still all across the states. A lot of bigger companies still use it for branding purposes. So we still have that. But about 10 years ago, we noticed, of course, the shift in market and how people were marketing. And to adapt and change, we, of course, had to start offering online services. So we started off, of course, back then it was very, very small. One of our most basic packages that we offered was like a listing directory package, you know, which, as you know, we'll talk about is kind of one of the very first steps. But as the market has changed, you know, we've kind of expanded our offerings, and you know, there's a handful of things that you could do to grow your business online. So, I work in this industry as well, kind of the same industry. So it's fun to be able to talk shop, and I've noticed an interesting trend. You'll see, people who specialize in social media, for example. I've heard some of them even say that SEO is dead, which is a bizarre thing that surprised me. I didn't, right.
That didn't make sense to me. But there seems to be this attitude of, oh well, this is the pathway to go, or this is the pathway to go. So, what is the place for SEO in this landscape?
It's through my experience of my years of work, I've noticed that different industries are going to want to take different steps towards expanding their online. I would say businesses such as like real estate, things that have more of a personal touch, you're going to want to go more of the social media route. They rely highly on referrals. they want to have that personal connection, and in order to do that, you're going to do a social media marketing campaign. When it comes to actual SEO, it is very, very important, especially for a company who provides service.
You know what I mean? So we're talking HVACs, plumbers, electricians who do home calls and do residential, landscapers. These are the guys that generally have one solid business location in one city, but have a vast area of service, you know, where they'll go to different homes in different counties. And that's, I believe, where SEO plays into.
Well, that makes sense, too.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have somebody who, sure, they'll hop on Facebook and ask for recommendations for a plumber, but what they're also going to do is go check out reviews. And even when they get those referrals on Facebook, they're still going to go to
look
Google
at reviews,
and look them up.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're not mutually exclusive. It's a handoff. Focused on trades, is SEO something that is especially effective for trades?
I believe so, but I think it just kind of really does depend on your industry and what you're trying to do, what your personal goals are when it comes to your online marketing. My job as a marketing consultant is just to go in and find out what direction a customer wants to take, what their budget is, and, you know, kind of give them recommendations of what I think they should do or what would be effective. But it just kind of depends on the industry, honestly.
Gotcha. And SEO, would you consider, I mean, as far as on the kind of the right hand of the spectrum, you have really expensive options that bring results immediately, and then you have really cheap options that take a really long time to get results. Where does SEO fall in that?
I actually think it would be kind of quite the opposite.
Okay.
So when you're looking for kind of more immediate results, of course there's making sure that you're optimizing keywords off your Google My Business. These tend to be less costly, more effective in targeting a direct audience in the city that you're operating business in. And then, of course, SEO, actual organic SEO, you're going to start doing work, and it's more of a long-term investment on your website where you're actually building content and language in cities that you want to service, and you're kind of building onto your website. Those are generally more expensive and take more time. It's a slower growing monster. So working with somebody who's trusted is ideal in that situation. Of course, and then there's PPC, which is a whole other different monster.
Right, yeah. And that's kind of what I was thinking was the ads, the paid ads.
Very expensive, yes, but is made to do that immediate boost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But SEO, it's playing the long game, really. I mean, and that's why I think when I'm talking with my customers, mostly they want videos for marketing purposes, and so I interface with search engine optimization and other things all the time. And with SEO, it seems like it augments networking efforts better than like an ad campaign. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it just kind of depends. A lot of like plumbers, HVAC companies, they say their bread and butter is like pay-per-click. Something like that. But when it comes to actually like having your social media campaign, and I forgot your question.
It wasn't an important question.
No, it wasn't an important question at all. Oh my gosh.
No worries. So let's jump to a different topic real quick. So with trades, you mentioned specifically that they're operating out of one city, but they obviously service multiple counties in most cases. So how do your search engine optimization services allow them to service outside of just their zip code?
Yeah, so as I had mentioned before, it's all about making sure that you're expanding your organic content. So it's built into your website. And basically what we do is we sit down, we visit with the customer, we want to find out, of course, doing keyword research and what areas they want to be found in. From then on, we start actually building content pages into your website, focusing on your key phrases, making sure it's all built into your meta tag of your website. We're going to get into nerd talk here really quick. Making sure that it's listed in your headings, it's tagged on the back end of your photos, and then building out whole pages if necessary to make sure that you appear in that city that's outside of your immediate area.
So how does a business know if they need your services? What are some red flags?
Red flags is if you're doing a search and and you're say somebody has an office in Salt Lake. And they really want to start focusing on the Provo area. Google yourself. Google HVAC, or any of the multiple keywords that you want to focus on, and Google that term and your city. And if you don't appear on the first page, you need to do some work on that. So that's the easiest way to make sure that you need to invest in some SEO. Medium-sized companies who are looking to grow, wanted to get into other areas, that would be the time to invest in an organic SEO.
I want to keep going on that for a minute here. So there are paid options like ZipLocal, ways that services that companies can utilize to really do it right. For somebody who their revenues are still really low, they don't really have that kind of cash flow to even get to that point. It's kind of a chicken and the egg question, which is going to come first. Are there things that they can do on their own?
Of course, there's always things that you can do on your own. I always tell customers, crawl before you run, of course. Make sure that you're dominating the city that you're in. Make sure you're optimizing keywords. And, everything that we do, we abide by Google's best practices and guidelines. They list that fully on their website. So if any customer is wanting to research on things that they can do when it comes to their own online business, anybody could go in. If they have the time and the means, of course, go and look it up on Google and find out what it is that they require business to do. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow, okay.
Anybody can do it on their own if they have the time and the know-how.
So if they use Google and then they Google Google's best standards and practices,
exactly.
they can get there.
Yeah, they're very, very transparent when it comes to what they require their businesses to do. So
that makes sense. And those things, and this is speaking from my own personal experience, they take forever. If you're doing it by yourself, I mean, that's your full-time job for like a few weeks.
Yeah, it takes a while. And that's kind of where we step in. We like to, if you're a business owner, you're going to be running payroll, you're going to be managing your day-to-day, you're going to have crews that are out, and you're organizing everything. It gets really hectic. So my job is to find out who I can build a relationship with, who wants to actually sit down with me and have a real conversation and find out if it's going to be worth it passing it on to somebody who knows what we're doing and can save you a little bit of time, money, and effort versus hiring somebody in office or you trying to do it yourself. So that's kind of where we provide the relief.
Gotcha. So I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot here. We've touched on ZipLocal. We've talked about the services you can provide, but let us know, hit us hard, why should people choose ZipLocal to do their SEO?
ZipLocal, like I said, we're a long-standing business. We do actually have a Google partnership badge, which means we have proof that we have worked with customers in the past. We abide by Google's best practices and guidelines, and they recognize us for that. So we are going to do everything that we can, and my own personal logo is driven by integrity. So I like to make sure that I do things with the utmost integritous possible way. I'm always there for my customers. And you're going to have a full crew of people. You're going to have people working on your website. You have a client success. You have customer service. You have me as your rep. You have multiple different avenues to make sure the product that you invest in goes the way you want it to go.
So if people want to get in touch with you and maybe meet and just learn about what your services are and what the pricing structure is like, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. You can go to zipinformed.com. We will actually request that you provide some information of your business, where your name, address, phone number, email, stuff like that, and we'll run you a free analysis for you right there.
Oh, nice.
Another thing that you can do is you can just give me a call or a text. My cell phone number is 801-791-5822. Or, of course, Google ZipLocal. You know what I mean? We have a customer service number that you can reach out to, and one of the options is to press 2 if you're a business interested in advertising. So a bunch of different avenues there.
So I'd say, the one that caught my attention, ZipInformed.
ZipInformed, yeah.
.com. You'll get a free analysis.
You get a free analysis. Yep.
Love that.
If you're seriously interested in organic SEO, you can, and I do that for customers, potential customers anyway. So it's either going to be me doing it or you putting the information in, but we always offer a free analysis just to see what your competitors are doing, where they're ranking versus where you're ranking, and ways that we can work on your SEO for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Erna.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, you have a good day.
Absolutely. You too.
Thank you. All right, so while we are waiting for our next guest to get ready to come on stage, I want to share with you a quick message about Jared Lee with NC Payments. He does credit card processing for small businesses, and he focuses heavily on customer service and saving his customers money on the fees that they pay to take credit cards. Businesses should be taking credit cards. It's 2019. There's a lot of customers who will only pay with credit cards. My personal experience has been that when I began to focus more on credit cards and allow people to pay more invoices with credit cards, I got paid a lot faster. I stopped having to personally reach out to them and follow up with them. They would just pay it a lot simpler because I was able to take a credit card. So if you want to reach out to Jared Lee with NC Payments, utilize Google. Just Google Jared Lee NC Payments and you can find him there. We will also post his contact information in the post of the video as well as the comments. I did not load that script into my teleprompter, so I unfortunately cannot read the number off to you. Maybe I shouldn't have confessed that in front of thousands of people, but hey, here we are. Our next guest is Paula Whitaker from Divorced in Utah. She specializes in helping individuals deal with the fallout of a divorce, social, emotional, and otherwise. So I think this is going to be a very valuable conversation. I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation for all of us. Paula, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about Divorced in Utah.
So can I tell you how it started?
Yes,
and that'll
please.
explain it. Okay, so I went through a divorce, and when I was going through the divorce, I was looking for a support group. So a local support group. There was lots of Facebook groups. Mm-hmm. There were, I think that was it. There was Facebook groups, and then there was something I think called Divorce Care that was like a program through a Christian church, and you had to, it's a 13-week program, and it had curriculum, and that didn't interest me. I needed to find like resources, like who are the good therapists, who are the good lawyers, all of that. I had no one to go to. I had the Facebook group, but I didn't know any of those people. You could say, what's a good, attorney? And you'd get 20 different attorneys, or don't go to this person. And so you're like, well, which one? So normally you need to trust that person, and then, that you're getting the recommendation for the referral, and then go. So I wanted to see people in person and wanted a support group, and there was nothing available. I found it really interesting that if you need help in breastfeeding, there's La Leche League. If you need help, if you're an alcoholic, there's AA. It seems like every other thing had a support group, but divorce. And so it was really, that's like the time that you're going through trauma. You need a support system, and you need people who are going through it that understand it to help you. So what Divorced in Utah started out doing is free support groups. You don't have money at that time, and so financially you're strapped, and so I offer free support groups, and I started doing them in person, but then I wasn't able to reach because it's the state of Utah, so I wasn't able to reach everyone. So I'm doing them online now on Thursday nights at 7:30. And they're open to anyone, and we use Zoom so you can see everyone, and then we meet in person every 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So if you want that connection, which a lot of people do, I want it, and so there's that option too. So that's how it started, and then I can build upon that. Would you like me to keep going?
I would love it. Okay. I'm so concerned.
So that's the support group. So then I'm just forming this, going, what are the needs? What do I need? What do everyone need? How can I help others that are going through this? And so the next pillar is kind of building yourself up. So you need, so for me, it'd been years since I'd been to the gym. It'd been years since I really cared about, the makeup that I was wearing, because I was raising young kids. I was always last. And when you go through a divorce, you need to focus on yourself. After you get through that, you need to rebuild yourself. So it's called empowerment, and I haven't really done anything. I'm looking for people who have created online or in-person classes to help. and I'd love to be an affiliate with them. So I was looking for that, and then I'm going to create my own at some point. So so that's the second pillar, to build yourself up, to learn how to take care of yourself emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of it. So that's the second pillar. And then the third pillar is dating. That is so I have a lot of men followers, which I thought I'd have a lot of women, and I have a lot of women too, but the men that I've talked to really want to know about money and dating. Those are the two subjects. They want to know how they can get ahead, because, if they're paying child support or alimony, how they feel like, how am I ever going to get ahead if I'm always doing this? So they want to know about finances and dating. And of course, women always want to know about dating too. So dating is the last pillar. So what I've done is I've created an event, and it's on October 4th. It's my first event, and it's blindfold eating with speed dating. I got the idea from, I was watching a movie where they went into this room. It was called Dining in the Dark. And they put you at tables with other people, and then you can't see anything, but you talk and you eat and you do it all in the dark. And I thought, that is so cool. So I started, I can't find a dark room. So instead, they are going to be blindfolded. So I'll have, women and men, and they alternate, and they'll eat different courses blindfolded. And it's going to be at Pat's Barbecue, October 4th. And then after that, then we'll speed date. So it's kind of exciting. So I'm excited for it. So that's my first event.
So you've got a lot coming up. So you got the weekly meetings, the Zoom calls.
Yes.
And then you've got every 6 weeks meeting in person, and then you'll have this October 4th event. Is there a website that you have that has these events listed?
Yeah, divorcedinutah.com.
Okay.
But I also, so every Friday I go live on my Facebook page at 10:30. And I interview people. So I go all around, and I interview people that are doing, counselors. I have a mediator who I've interviewed. And so I have a topic list, and I post that for the next 6 topics. And so I do that. And our next one that I'm excited about, actually not. So today we're going to talk about, this isn't my first divorce. A lot of people have been divorced multiple times, and so we're going to address that. And then after that, I'm getting like a panel of women together, and we're going to answer questions that the men have about anything, mainly dating. But yeah, how to get out of the friend zone, how to approach a woman without being creepy, stuff like that. So we're going to address all that, and I'm excited.
That sounds exhausting.
It is.
So I kind of, and maybe this is just not appropriate, but I am curious about what are the most common things that people go through on an emotional level when they get divorced, particularly here in Utah.
Well, there's that time that you're not divorced, but you're not married. You're living separately, and so you're separated, and you're not really accepted by your family, your family friends, that their families are intact. You need more advice, but then you have the people that are divorced, and they're going out and dating, so you're kind of stuck in this middle zone, and it's a really hard time. It's really hard. You are trying to figure out so many things, and you're not thinking like yourself. There's just so much going on. So that is a hard time, and that's where it all started for me. I wanted to help those people, because you were like, where do I belong? And so that's a really hard time. So that's where the support groups come in.
That makes sense. It's a very isolating situation immediately following one of the most isolating things to ever happen to you. That makes sense. I hadn't even thought about that. So with the support groups, as you run through a support group, how does it flow? Do people have to talk? Do they have to come forward?
Well, when we did it in person, we had people just share our stories, and so we all cried. But when we're on Zoom, some people have their kids. They can't be sharing their story, or they might be working, so they might listen. So what we do is we discuss the previous week's topic. So whatever I discussed last week on my Facebook Live, we talk about that, and then we answer any, like, people can ask, questions like resources. Who is, the best attorney? So we answer questions like that. So that's it's really simple. There's no
Gotcha.
I'm not a therapist. There's not a therapist leading it. So it's really casual.
So it kind of focuses on, the nuts and bolts, actions to be taken and tips and tricks and things like that. It doesn't really get into the kind of the deep emotional side.
Yeah,
would you say that?
Right. I would say a therapist would be better for
Would be
that.
more appropriate
So
for
yeah.
that makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. So you remind me, you started Divorced in Utah when?
April.
So you're already doing a lot. You're going full throttle with this. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So 5 years from now, where do you see it being?
Okay, well, what I'd like to do is teach other people in the nation how to start one in their area.
Okay.
So once I get this one up and running, then I would love to help, because people want it in Florida, people want it in, Washington State, California. So if they want to bring it to their city, then I would love to teach them how to do that and offer courses. So that's where I see it going.
Okay. And are you going to go the for-profit or nonprofit route on this?
I would love to do nonprofit. It's expensive because I'm not making any money right now. So, so once it gets up and it gets running, I'd love to do nonprofit.
Gotcha. Kind of run off donations and things like that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So if people want to get involved, maybe they don't need the support group, they've gone through that themselves already, how can people get involved?
So again, I need, if anyone is working on any courses, workshops that will help people that are going through a divorce, I would love to hear from you. So that would help my empowerment section. And then if you just want to get involved, I was thinking of maybe I would like people that have been divorced or that are single. I would love to interview them, like what they do, because I would love to support people that are single, divorced, in their businesses. So if they're that's how they can reach out to me. I'd love to interview them and see what they do and how they do it, their tricks and tips. And then if you have been divorced and are remarried, then I would love to see if you would. I'd love to do in-person support groups. I just can't do that. I can't drive around and do that. So if we need to meet in person, if that could happen again, then if they would like to lead those, I would love it. Okay, so they could actually lead their own in-person support group throughout this in different places throughout the state. That's a really cool way to do that. Yeah, it's a really cool model. I like that a lot. So divorcedinutah.com, is that the best way to contact you, or is there a better way for them to reach out? That's the best way. You'll see my story. I have contact, and then I have a phone number on there, and then my email. And so, yeah, just go to Divorced in Utah. Then you can see all the resources. Okay, fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you being here, Paula. All right, thanks for having me. This was a cool thing to talk about. Okay, thanks. Thanks. Okay, so before we move on to our next segment, I want to shout out to Smart Social, SMRT Smart Social. So Smart Social focuses on making social media work for your business. Many businesses have tried and failed to use social media to their advantage and to grow their bottom line. Smart Social makes sure that they do not fail. In fact, the reason they are spelled SMRT is because they work their A off for you. So if you want to be smarter about the way you use social media, contact Curtis Howe with Smart Social, SMRT again, social. I believe the website is smrt.social, or you can just look Smart Social up on Facebook. And for our viewers, exclusively for our viewers, Smart Social is offering their strategy services, which are normally billed at $98 an hour and take 3 to 4 hours. They are offering those for free to our viewers. Just reach out to Smart Social either on their Facebook or their website and tell them that we sent you their way, and they will do that strategy session for you for free. Please, if you're looking at using social media for your business, consider them, take advantage of that, reach out to them. It helps us as a show, it helps them as a great company that does great work. Highly encourage you to check them out. Again, Smart Social, Curtis Howe, also Jared Lee with NC Payments. Highly encourage you to check him out as well. Our next segment is a little bit different.
it's just a whole lot of me. No, I'm just kidding. So it is going to be me talking, but I'm going to talk to you about a personal experience I've had with a company who has come on to be one of our vision partners. And that company is To Evolve Coaching. Now, for those of you who've had a business coach, you know how they can completely change your life and your business all at once. And To Evolve Coaching was no exception for me. They came into my business. I worked specifically with Joe Rangel from To Evolve Coaching last September, about pretty much exactly a year ago. And the person I am now and the business I run now is completely unrecognizable from the business I ran before. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is I wanted to share. And this is not intended to be an advertisement for To Evolve Coaching. This is intended to be me sharing with you one of the things that changed the way I looked at my business and the way I looked at life. And one of those things was going from a victim mentality to a victor mentality. And this, unfortunately, the phrase victim mentality has taken on a sort of political meaning and has political connotations. But we all have ways in which we view ourselves as a victim. And what that usually manifests as is something bad happens, or we're going through something difficult and it's taking a lot of time and it's stressing us out. And rather than look at that in a constructive way, we actually cling to that. And then we go and we, in the name of venting, we tell people about it and hope that they're gonna like, oh wow, he's so tough, he's gone through such hard things, and we soak that in as this praise because we went through something hard. And there's nothing dishonest about that. There's nothing unethical about that. But there is something that's highly unproductive about that. So when we do that, what we're focusing on is our good feelings, our validation that's coming from people empathizing or sympathizing with us. When instead, our focus should be on how did that happen? What can I learn from it? And how can I do better in the future? And that is what you'd call a victor mentality. Yes, this bad thing happened. How do I conquer it? How do I become someone who doesn't have to deal with that anymore because I've become better? That is the difference. Where is your focus? Where are your thoughts? And it can be very tough. You know, we go through such hard things, and we know that everybody out there, all the people around us, they see a very two-dimensional version of us. All they see is where we are, and they don't see all of the things we've struggled with to get where we are. They don't see the countless hours and time and drops of sweat and blood that have gone into getting us where we are. All they see is us in that place. And so they make assumptions sometimes of, oh, well, it must have been easier for him than it was for me, or would have been for me. Oh, he must have had natural talent. Oh, these things. Oh, he must have had a rich uncle. Something like that comes up. And it can be very frustrating for you when you've gone through all of this muck and sludge to get where you are, and then people treat you like it was just handed to you. Yes, that's frustrating, but it also doesn't matter, because as long as you continue to do what you're doing and you continue to trudge through the sludge and be a victor over your obstacles, you will continue to grow and progress. If you step back and say, yeah, all these bad things have happened to me, and wow, they were really bad. Wow, I should go tell people about these so that they feel sorry for me and that they're even more impressed with where I am. That's an unproductive way of thinking. And, you know, I always, because of the political connotation of the victim mentality, I always considered myself, oh, I'm not a victim, you know, I'm moving forward. But it took To Evolve Coaching, it took Joe Rangel to really talk me through the ways that I was viewing myself as a victim and the ways that I was taking advantage of the sympathy and empathy of others to make myself feel more validated about giving up earlier than I needed to, or earlier than I should have. So that is just kind of one nugget that I wanted to share that To Evolve Coaching has helped me recognize and overcome. Now, if you are interested in contacting To Evolve Coaching, they do have a website. I believe it's just toevolvecoaching.com. and you can reach out there. There's 2 coaches that I know personally. I believe there are other individuals involved with the company. They will do a fantastic job for you, and I can say that from a full year's worth of experience of working very closely with their coaches. So thank you so much for joining us this week on Venture Utah. I hope that wasn't too much of a change of pace. We are very excited to continue on with the show. If you'd like to be on Venture Utah, you can go to ventureutah.com, click on Become a Guest. If you'd like to advertise with us, we are currently looking for advertisers for the month of October, and we will continue offering our advertising at below market rates until we have more data about how the show is working for our advertisers, and that we know that we have a lot of viewers that people can take advantage of. So again, ventureutah.com. You can click advertise with us. You can also click become a guest. Let us know if you'd like to be involved with the show. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Cameron Porter, and we'll see you next week.